Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming to another video. All right, so uh, let's see. I made not a therapy session, NBA video of some sort. I'm doing so much content for this channel, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing anymore. But I did some NBA content that I didn't upload a little earlier, about a couple hours ago, talking about various players that I wanted to see the Lakers possibly go after with the two picks. And when I listened back to the video, um, I just felt like that wasn't the best way to articulate the points that I wanted to make. So I'm gonna try to do it again and then throw in some new information that kind of helps me with what it is that I'm overall looking at. So I guess the first things first, since I've already done this video, I already know what points are most important. The Lakers have two picks, and I think those two picks are worth a certain amount. But because the Lakers only have two picks, it's going to be something where, of course, everybody's going to want to fleece them for those picks. It's a leverage thing. If everyone knows you're desperate, they're going to treat you that way and price everything you have at too much or too little to make for it to make sense to them. So, um, in this case, I'm looking at the Lakers and I'm saying, okay, you got two picks. If you want to continue to mortgage your future and do what's best for LeBron James, chances are you want to bring him the highest level running mate to go along with him and Anthony Davis, somebody who can replace Russell Westbrook's contract and possibly stay for multiple years, so that you can have that piece in place to have the duration of LeBron James' tenure as a Laker. If he wants to stay a couple extra years, he can. If he doesn't, you'll have a running mate for AD, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of what the Lakers' overall mindset has been based on what I've been listening to. Now, for me, I've been talking against that a lot, and my opinion stands. But I'm not really looking at this from a my opinion point of view, but more so looking at it from a, if I'm the Lakers and I'm thinking about what it is that they want to do as it pertains to getting a Zach LaVine or somebody like that type of player. So I'm trying to figure out, for the level of talent that you want LeBron to be playing with, if you want to go for that star, what pieces would be acceptable. Now, what prompted me initially to make the video was listening to Trevor Lane talk about a few players, and one of them was, two of them were from the Toronto Raptors, OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. I would absolutely love for the Lakers to acquire one or both of those guys. That would be a no-brainer for me. I would be happy to include the two picks to make that happen, because I think both of those players are of that caliber that you can feel good about giving away future assets, because those guys are going to last the duration of their assets lifetime. It's a good chance Gary Trent Jr. is still going to be running around shooting threes in 2027. It's a good chance that OG Anunoby is still going to be out there doing what he does 2027. So I would have no problem giving up those picks, knowing that those players are young enough to give me a real good starters unit. My forward situation is set for the next 5+ years if I can just bring those guys in. So as a Laker fan, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, that's worth my picks. You know what I mean? The chances are, if I draft something in the first round, I'd be happy if it turns into what those guys are. And that's basically what it is. If you got these first round picks, you don't know what they're going to be. Chances are they're anywhere range from the very first pick to the 30th pick. You know what I mean? Anywhere in the first round, so you don't know what actually you're holding. But what you don't want to do is give it away for too little. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to assume you have the 30th pick when it turns out to be the 7th. That kind of thing. So you just don't know, and because of it, you don't want to value them too low. Now, another player that I was hearing mentioned in regards to that kind of thing that made a lot of sense is somebody like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, whether or not someone will be willing to give you him is a whole other story. Obviously, Sam Presti knows what he has there. But if you're the Los Angeles Lakers and you want to try to get one single player for your two picks that's worth it, there's another that you can say may be available depending on what OKC is looking at, because they do have a lot of players that they need to pay, future picks that will develop, that they will need to pay, and you can just see that down the timeline. So maybe their contract there with SGA might be a little too premature for what it is that they're ultimately doing. Having him at this price may not necessarily meet the timeline. So these are the things you're looking at and say, well, he might be best suited in a different spot. in a more of a win now situation, while they're continuing to try to figure out who's going to be on their team, who they believe in, who may have to move on. So that's what I'm looking at there. I'm like, that just might be a contract that just may be unnecessary for them, given the fact they have so many young, unproven, talented players that could turn out to be just as good as he is one day. So it's just he's a little early, and that's something I'm looking at there. Zach LaVine's another player. You guys know I'm not a big fan of trading him for 2 picks, but he's definitely worth 2 picks, especially the way he's been playing over the last several weeks. He stepped his game all the way up, and Chicago's winning games, so you got to value what he's doing on the court. But his contract's not really desirable to me, to be honest with you. Not really desirable, but when you're thinking about what the Lakers have been talking about doing, he was one of the players mentioned. Bradley Beal's a player that was also mentioned, and this is where my video went left, because I went into a situation where I was trying to rationalize if I thought Bradley Beal would be worth 2 picks in any way, shape, or form. And his talent and what I think he can bring to a win-now situation for like a 1-year rental, you would love to have Bradley Beal on the Los Angeles Lakers. And if he plays the way that he's capable of playing, and you get him on this team and you win the NBA championship, you don't mind that you've given up 2 picks. The problem is, and this stands for him and several other players that I'll mention, is if they don't re-sign, then you've given away 2 future assets for pieces that have been let go of. Now, if your intent is to go all in for this season and you don't care what happens after this season, then that's probably something that you don't care. If you have a player you have to negotiate with in the offseason, you don't care as long as they can help you win the championship. Cool. So, again, this is all a bunch of stuff that Brandon wouldn't necessarily do, but if I'm in the Lakers mindset and I want what they're being rumored to say they want, then this is something that I'm considering in regards to just going all in for this season. I don't think many Laker fans want the Lakers to do that. Not many informed fans. We want to have a team that we know can have some supporting cast that is pretty good too. And if we end up finding ourselves in a situation where we bring in this third piece, Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, and then it costs us all of these other players that are going to make the team what it is that they are, and we're just left with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Zach LaVine, and then having to find more guys, that's just not the way to go. I would rather us not go for that third star right now and then try to take the money that we have and try to diversify amongst some of these guys that we would like to re-sign that we already have here. Thomas Bryant, the way that he's going, you're going to have to set aside some cap money for him. Whatever it was, it's going to have to be increased. And I think it's good for us to not hold back in regards to re-signing that particular piece. And then you look at Austin Reeves, I very much feel the same way. I look at Lonnie Walker, I very much feel the same way. So it's like it gets to a point where it's like Lonnie's probably the piece I'm hearing people are saying, okay, well, we've played well without him. We remember him being in lineups that we weren't successful in, particularly defensively when we were in small ball lineups. But I would tell everybody, well, that was not necessarily anything that had to do with him. He was in those lineups. You put him in lineups with the unit that we have now with more tall players, and he still will give us some of that nice flavor that he gave us in the open court, finishing and giving us good three-point shooting. His thing is he has to be in perfect shape so that his mechanics can be right. He's a highly athletic player who's streaky three-point wise. So as long as he's feeling good and physically right, he's going to make shots. If he's not going to make them. And so he was playing injured, and as a result, we were seeing him in a slump. If he comes back and is his regular self, he's an asset to us offensively and an explosive player in the open court that I don't want to let go of. He's done really good things in his uniform thus far, and we keep letting shooting guards walk away. Malik Monk, Caruso, it's been too many. At this point, we got another one who knows. We know he can play in his uniform. We know he can handle the bright lights thus far. Is he a perfect guard? Not yet. But he's also better than he was when he came into the league, and so therefore you can imagine he's going to get better from here. So I want to invest in Lonnie Walker. I'm not discouraged by the fact that I've seen him in bad lineups, or discouraged by the fact that we didn't necessarily have him playing 100% great all season long thus far. I think at the end of the day, he's earned his contract for next season, and he's going to be playing somewhere. And I think this is a good spot for him to be playing. So, yeah, I want to see him come back. Hopefully he can come back very soon. Obviously, they said 2 weeks for him and him and Austin Reeves. So This is the end of the first week. Hopefully we can get something going next week in terms of news with those guys, and maybe even Anthony Davis can come back at the same time. So I want to see the Lakers re-sign the people we need to re-sign. That should be priority, a priority for a franchise. Now, for this particular unit, I think it should be a priority as well, because these players often contribute to the unit a great deal, but I'm thinking about keeping them more so for future seasons. So that's what I want to see us do, man. I do love the idea of the Lakers kicking the can on Kyrie Irving's contract at this point, because it's an expiring contract that I think the Lakers, he's going to want to re-sign with us, especially if we have the type of season that we hope to have if we were to acquire him. I kind of feel the same way about a guy like, even though these names are not out there as players that could be traded for, I'm just putting them out there because I think it's a good chance that their franchises would be wise to think of life without them. And I think of a guy like Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is somebody who I would be happy to give 2 picks for. And a guy like James Harden, whom I know is worth 2 picks, even though I'm not certain I would want to sign him or re-sign him based on what I've seen. But these are the type of things where it's like, if we can get Klay Thompson, even though he's an older player, he fits so perfectly to what it is that we need. As a fact, he's the best three-point shooter not named Steph Curry. He's one half of the greatest, dynasty we've seen in this particular generation. And so for him, having rekindled his career basically over the last 4 weeks, I would have no hesitation to bringing in the NBA champion as a catch-and-shoot specialist who's going to just basically hit every shot we need him to hit. His conditioning issues are behind him. We're not going to lean on him too much. All he's going to have to do is park it from behind the arc and be himself and make life easy for Anthony Davis and LeBron James, as to which you have no problem seeing Klay Thompson a part of this team next season. And then if he wants to continue to come back, you feel good about him coming back the season after that, because he's still Klay Thompson. He's going to shoot better than everybody, even if he's barely getting up and down the court. So you could see the asset there no matter what. So he's somebody I would feel differently about based on the proven nature of his winning. But I don't see Golden State necessarily moving on from him unless something crazy happens. So this is just something I'm thinking about. Like, there are the exception to the rule, as to which I ain't trying to trade no 2 picks for any old 34-year-old. But if they're of a certain cachet and can do a certain thing, yeah, hell yeah, I'll trade for Klay Thompson. 2 picks. These 2 picks are worth Klay Thompson. These 2 picks, I believe, are worth Kyrie Irving as well, given what I've seen from him. Obviously, the situation that's going on right now with him getting suspended on IG, I haven't had a chance to talk about that. I don't know what was posted. I honestly don't know what was posted. And that would determine, I guess, how to look at it. But then again, when you talk about IG and how they like to regulate certain things, I've seen them let certain things go by the wayside, and I've seen them punish people for stuff that I didn't think was all that bad. I've been punished for stuff that I didn't think was all that bad myself. So I'll reserve the right to wait to see what actually was posted, and then from there we'll come up with an opinion on whether or not this makes any sense. But as far as I can tell, the way that Kyrie's been playing as of late, you definitely want him on your basketball team. That's that simple. And the way the Nets just had KD go down with the injury, and him being an expiring contract, Kyrie is, it might be wise for them to consider what it looks like trading him and getting something back for him. Because if they get all the way to the end of the season, don't win the NBA championship, and that contract isn't signed, he's gone for nothing. So that's the situation there. Obviously, they can price him up higher than what the Lakers can pay for if they choose. But with LeBron James here, I can totally see a situation where that would be something that the Lakers would want to do and Kyrie may want to do. So keep an eye open for that. I've always thought that was ultimately what the Lakers were holding the picks for anyway, if not just to see him drafted, but to get a piece like Kyrie Irving, if not Kyrie himself. And I do remember that the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers met in the summertime. The GMs from both teams met in the summertime, and nothing came of that meeting. I'm not so sure that they didn't talk about something being done at the trade deadline. So I still think I'm fairly optimistic that the Lakers will be able to move at last minute, and I'm also fairly optimistic that things are going to start pointing at Kyrie Irving coming to the Lakers again. Because at the end of the day, he did have some of this stuff looming over him over the last several months, and there are going to be some owners who are going to be hesitant because of that. And then you look at the Lakers and LeBron James, our situation, it was always designed for us to trade for this guy. It was always designed for that. And so I think that that's still on the table, and I would not be surprised if we come full circle to that and start ramping up those conversations again. Um, it's just lining up that way. It's really legitimately lining up that way, especially if he's going to get in quote unquote trouble for whatever was posted again. So I've always thought that there was a slight chance that one of the functionalities of Kyrie's post was to create an environment for which the Nets would be willing to move on from him and trade him to the Lakers. I thought that, and I might even mention that when I first heard about the Hebrews to Negroes post. I was like, yo, I think one portion of what it is he's doing is trying to make it so that he's not attractive to his team. They get him out of there. You know what I mean? I really believe that. And we've come a long way since then. Obviously, Hebrews to Negroes opened my eyes and changed my way of looking at everything that we were doing. But the absolute original thought that came to mind was, he's trying to shake a loose, man. He's trying to get to LA. I thought he was trying to get to LA the whole time. So, the Nets have since played well. Everything was going well. I thought everybody had changed their mind. Basically, start seeing Claxton step up and become one of the best young defensive big men in the league. You're seeing the coach situation just be a raging success with them bringing in Jacque Vaughn and firing Steve Nash. You're seeing Ben Simmons coming back, more or less on track to be himself eventually. You know what I mean? He's not having any real setbacks. It hasn't been bad at all. They've been winning. So, and then they're getting stuff from other players, man. So it's like, okay, the Nets seem like they're on the right track, but they just got to figure out if the owner is going to be a determining factor to whether or not they're able to keep their core. And I think that the answer is probably yes, man. It's probably yes. I think Joe Tsai is in the way, cut and dry. I think he's crossed the line with KD. I think he's crossed the line with Kyrie. And I think everybody's enjoying the fact that they're winning, but I don't think they're going to be able to go forward and feel confident that signing with this guy is the best thing for their future. I don't think KD wants to be there. To be honest with you, I just think he's stuck because he's on contract for 4 years, but he wanted out in the summertime, and I don't see any reason for him to still want to play under this guy. So, this is one of the situations where it's like, it's up to the Nets organization, though. They got a good team. If they want to just go all in for one season and then reconvene at the end of the year, I don't think too many people will blame them for that. But they're going to run the risk of losing Kyrie Irving. And that is not the player or the value you let walk when you can consider what you can get for him. If they can get 2 draft picks for him, first-round draft picks or more for Kyrie Irving, and they decide to keep him and he doesn't sign that contract, that's something that further tanks them, that further keeps them solidified in the same space they've been in for as long as they've been themselves. And that's something I think they want to get out of. So I don't think there's any harm in trading Kyrie Irving, especially if you can get the Laker picks or some value that like that. Because I'm telling you, the Nets don't really have assets, so they can't afford to let anything walk, just like the Lakers. So that's what I see there, man. And there are other players that fit that bill as well. Obviously, you would be willing to give 2 picks up for higher cachet players than that, obviously. So that kind of goes without saying, bigger names. But at the end of the day, it's about the contract too. Are they expiring? Can we re-sign them? Are we getting their bird rights? Are these pick swaps that we're giving up, or is it just the picks themselves? Is there any attachments? These things matter. So as a Laker fan, I would love to see us, do something that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, from my perspective, I'm not 100% sure of what I'm looking at most of the time when it pertains to the Los Angeles Lakers. One week they look great, the next week they look bad. One week AD looks like the best player ever, the next week he's never playing again. You just don't really know what you're looking at from week to week. And for my preference, that instability in and of itself is a no for me. I don't like that. I'm a consistent person. I'm a Groundhog Day kind of dude. So the last thing I want is to not know what's for dinner every night. I don't like that stuff. So that's kind of what the Lakers are giving me. And it's just not my cup of tea. I would much rather know that we have a future. That even if this team is trash this year, we got a draft pick and we're drafting somebody dope. That's what I like. I like that level of understanding. And if the team's good, cool. The draft pick's worth nothing. We're going on to try to win a championship. And if we fall short, fine, it's a lost season. We make the playoffs. Hopefully we have a team we can carry over and add something to build upon it. Let's get better. Anything outside of that step ladder for me as a fan just makes no sense, and we need to rebuild. So that's the opinion. And I don't think I'll be too happy if the Lakers do anything else, to be honest. Trading for Zach LaVine, all that stuff, I'm against it. Giving up 2 picks for anything that will be less than a championship. And that's another thing. Let's say we trade 2 picks for Kai. I'm happy. We bring in Kai. Perfect. We don't win a championship, and those 2 picks are gone. You best believe 2027, when the Brooklyn Nets draft whoever they're going to draft, I'm going to be sitting there mad. I'm just telling you right now. And I'm going to remember, and I'm probably going to be on this camera telling everybody, hey, that's our pick. And as that person progresses in the league, I'm going to be like, yep, remember when we traded him away from? It's a throw-in to the Kyrie Irving trade, and Kyrie didn't even resign. We didn't even win a championship. That's exactly how it's going to be. So it's up to Jeannie Buss to remedy all that if she makes this trade and make sure she signs Kyrie Irving to a deal that makes sense. Don't let him walk. If we're going to give away future assets for anything that we bring in, it should be something that we have intentions of keeping past this season. So that's what I'm on right now. That's what I'm going to be on probably till the end of this trade deadline. And I do believe if there's any possible way the Lakers can find themselves acquiring pick equity, then they need to do that instead of letting picks leave, bring picks in. So we got a game coming up in about an hour or so against the Dallas Mavericks. I gave you guys a preview of that game. Even though I can't tell you that I did a whole lot of homework on Dallas, I just didn't have the stomach for it. I'm not a fan of watching Dallas play that much. This particular season, last year they were fun. This year it's like, not really. I don't love watching them play, but I do love beating them, and unfortunately the Lakers have done none of the sort this season. So hopefully we can get a win tonight against a team that I think is struggling a little bit, but has a player that is obviously one of the best, simply one of the best in Luka Doncic. So, the talk of the town is the same thing I was saying in my video. He doesn't have enough help, and he ain't going to last if they don't get him some. So we need to shut that man down tonight, get him in foul trouble, and make him somebody who's trying to play a lot of defense. Because he don't want to do that. So that's what I got to say. Make his players ball watchers. You want to make him beat you. You don't even want the other people attempting shots, because if they attempt shots and they get going, it's a done deal. So just turn your attention to him. He's going to do everything for his team. And so that's what I would say to the Lakers. Just turn your attention to him. Make him beat you. Make him be a defender. Make him run too much. Speed him up. And I know that's very difficult to do because he controls tempo. But if we can speed up the pace on this team, they're not going to want to keep up with us. They're not going to want to run. They're not going to want to deal with these athletes. So that's my opinion about that particular game. But anyway, man, that's where we're at. Just wanted to give you guys a couple sound bites on what I have to say about this pick situation. I hope the Lakers can get something done. But if they happen to not get something done, I think a no deal is better than a bad deal for sure. So that's pretty much what I got to say. BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.